Hey, what is up, everybody? Happy Old Testament Thursday. I'm Pastor Adam. I'm so glad you decided to tune in and check out and see what we've got going on today. Man, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to continue on our series on how to be a Christian in an unchristian world. What does that all mean? How do we do it? How do we go about loving our neighbor as ourselves, even though they are of the world and they do worldly things? And our world is losing its Christian values, its morals. They are plummeting, it seems. How do we reconcile that as Christians, and how do we go about doing the Great Commission? Well, today we're going to start by looking at yourself. How do you view yourself as a Christian in an unchristian world? What does that mean to you? How are you a Christian in an unchristian world? What parts about you make you a Christian? What do you believe that makes you a Christian? What part about being a Christian do you believe in? All of these questions formulate together to form who you are as a Christian. The Bible tells us what it means to be a Christian, but sometimes we look at different things and maybe get a little misguided with some teachings that we hear, or maybe we don't read the Bible the right way, don't have proper hermeneutics, reading it in the historical, cultural context in which the Bible is written. So, what does that all mean for us? What does this mean to be a Christian in an unchristian world? Well, as a Christian in an unchristian world, we have to continually be building ourselves up as a Christian. We have to build up our faith. We've got to set ourselves up on the right path. We have to discover what it means to be a Christian, how to keep being a Christian, and how to do all this stuff. While in the midst of being in an unchristian world, our world that is anti-Christian, it's against our morals and values. If the world finds out that you're a Christian, it may look at you different. You may be knocked down a peg or two. Check this out from Nehemiah chapter 4, starting in verse 16 is where we're going to start. Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah, is all about the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The rebuilding of all the buildings, the gates, the walls, the temple, all this stuff gets rebuilt. And it's Nehemiah writes out the whole process of how the Jerusalem gets rebuilt, how the town gets rebuilt, the walls, the gates, all sorts of stuff. How does this all happen? Well, from the beginning of the book, he gets permission from the king that's ruling over and has put Israel in captivity. He gets permission to go out and build the walls back up and build up Jerusalem. Well, as he's doing that, some people get a little upset with him and they try to attack them. They don't want Jerusalem to come back, so they try to attack him. And check this out, Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 16. From that day on, half of my men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers posted themselves behind the wall, all the people of Judah who were building the wall. Those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held a weapon in the other. And each of the builders wore his sword at his side as he worked. But the men who sounded the trumpet stayed with me. What does this all have to do? Because, Pastor Adam, we're not out there rebuilding Jerusalem. We're not doing that. How does this apply to us? Well, I think there's a good representation here. Yes, these Israelites, they were physically prepared to defend themselves from attackers of the non-Jewish variety. To you, what I want to get at today is, are you ready in case of an attack? And what do I mean by that? Well, being a Christian in an unchristian world, you are going to be attacked by the world. At some point, they're going to challenge your beliefs. They may persecute you. They are going to come up with ways to denounce you, to denounce the faith. They're going to come up with all of these ways of saying that the faith isn't real. God's not real. Jesus was never real. Jesus didn't die for the sins of the world. They're going to come up with these things. And you have to be ready to defend yourself. If you are working on building up your faith and you don't have any sort of defense, these builders were building up the walls and the builders had a sword at their hip. Half the men were used as a defense force to keep off attackers. What are your defenses? It's called apologetics, the defense of God. How do we prove God in a way? How do you defend the faith? Well, do you know how to do that? Have you come to the spot where you know the faith, you know the Bible, you can quote scripture in a proper manner, you have thought through the Bible and what does it mean to have a relationship with God, and you've thought through all of these things in order to prepare a defense for your faith? Because if you don't have a defense, the world's going to come up, they're going to challenge your faith, and you're going to crumble. But if you are prepared and you have the sword of the faith ready, the Bible ready, you know it, you know how to use it, well then, while you're building up your faith, you're ready for attacks from the enemy, from attacks from an unchristian world. That's the challenge today, is what are your defenses? I'm Pastor Adam. This has been Old Testament Thursday. I'll see you next time.